guys, my name is Cindy Borbon and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Make sure that you go ahead and leave a like on this video, and you go ahead and comment down below your story if you can relate to mine, or if maybe you can share some tips with me on how to better cope or how to go through this as being a bride in 2020. Maybe we'll be able to do like a part 2 to this, where we're able to now see what it's like me planning my wedding, and you guys are able to go in and come along with me and see all the details that I'm doing, and see the flowers that I pick out, and see when I find out when the new date comes. So go ahead and let me know if you want to see something like that too. So to get started with this video, I want to start with opening up with a verse, and the verse is Psalms 46:5, and in the verse it says, God is within her, she will not fall. God will help her break of the day. So this is one of my favorite Bible verses that I love to read when I feel like I'm going through a time of discouragement. It's actually on my Bible. I don't know if you guys can see. This is my Bible. My husband, Alan, gave me this Bible actually, and it has my name, Cindy Borbon, on it at the bottom. And as you can see, God is within her, she will not fall. That's one of my favorite verses. So I love this verse because I feel like during a time when you can feel so much discouragement, this verse really gives you that power that you need as a woman. Knowing that you have your Lord and God, your Savior, within such a horrible time, gives you that extra strength and that encouragement. So that's my goal for this video, is to give you all just a bit of encouragement during a hard time, and know that you're not in it alone, and know you're not the only person going through this. There are so many of us who are going through something like this, and we're here to help one another and to share our stories and to just help understand one another. That is the verse I wanted to share with you guys to open up. So for me, I had my wedding planned on March 28th, and I was ready to go. I had my dress, I had everything ready. There was just like final little details we had to go through. And if any of you guys know, the pandemic hit hard in March. I literally had to cancel my wedding 2 weeks before I got married. I already sent out all the save the dates, and I already had everything ready, the decorations and how it was gonna look and the flowers. And it was just really hard to hear the news of like, to wake up one day and to just hear like, hey, like you have to consider the fact that you might have to postpone your wedding. And I could not tell you how devastated I felt during that time that I might have to postpone this. And we did. We had to postpone, and we let everyone know, all of our friends and family know, because even if we wanted to go ahead and go through the wedding, Alan's parents weren't able to come and spend it with us because they closed the border. We ended up postponing our wedding, and it was hard, and I didn't really want to talk about it with anyone, and I didn't really want to share what I was going through, and I felt ashamed, and I felt like if I don't have my wedding, no one's gonna want to come to it later on, because we took the route of still getting married even though we didn't have a wedding, like a big wedding. So that is something I'll talk about a little bit later, and an option you might be able to do. So I want to just share with you a little encouragement of, even though you might not have the wedding, even though you might not have pictured it a certain way, or even if during such a hard time, during this pandemic that we're living, you are still with the person that you love, and you are still going to spend the rest of your life with them. You are still going to be able to do all these things with or without a wedding. God never says in his Bible that in order to make a wedding, a marriage official, you have to have a big party and a big ceremony. No, God doesn't say that. Let me read another verse to you guys, that it's in Ephesians 4:2-3, and it says, with humility and gentleness, patience, and bearing one another in love, eager to maintain the unity of the Spirit and in peace. So isn't it crazy how God already has this beautiful description of what marriage is and what we're called to do for one another as a couple? And I want you guys to hold on to that God already has something perfectly planned for you and your significant other, with or without this wedding. It's not like you lost your partner, and I know it's really hard to think that way sometimes in the moment, but trust me, taking the time to read my Bible and taking the time to pray to God and to pray with my husband now has really helped me during this time that I feel that there's just no hope, or I feel like there's no joyfulness. Really love that beauty within this verse that explains the unity that God has called what marriage should be. And I love that. During this time, I know you can have those questions of like, am I supposed to be angry? Can I feel angry? You have every right to feel how you feel. It is your wedding and it is something that happened to you, but something that you shouldn't do is linger on to those feelings and to where they get bigger and bigger and bigger, and you just have so much anger and so much anxiety within you because you didn't get what you wanted when you wanted it. I shouldn't have the attitude of, when is this going to be over so I can do what I want? But what am I supposed to be learning during this time? What has God called me to learn during this time, and not have the question of when can I do what I want? Something that really struck me back one time when I was listening to service and our pastor said, and I was like, wow, I really have had that mentality, and it was getting really hard to talk about. Like I said, I didn't want to talk to anyone about it because I felt like no one was gonna understand what I was going through, because so many people come up to you and they tell you, well, that sucks, and I blah blah blah, and this and this and this, or when's the new date? When are you gonna have another wedding? When are you gonna do this? When are you gonna do this? Or are you still gonna get married? Or are you already married, so are you even gonna have a ceremony? It gets really like stressful. I don't know how other people feel, but I felt stressful just not knowing what I was gonna do. Like, am I gonna do this, or should I do this, or should I do this? And instead of people, like, I know their best intention was to comfort me, I just felt like they gave me more pressure, more anxiety to now know what I wanted to do when I didn't even know what I felt like I wanted to do yet. Even though that wasn't their intention to, I know they meant well. That is how I felt in the moment. I'm not trying to go against what the health is recommending and what they say we should be doing. This is just what I've been doing and what I have found ways to cope. What does this mean? How are you feeling? How should you feel? What should you do? How can I cope with this? How can I feel better? Those are all questions that I asked myself and when I seek guidance. So some things that I would share with you girls that I've been doing is, one, you have to learn to talk about it. You have to learn to just share what's in your heart and share what you're feeling, and know that you are human and you have the right to feel what you feel. You have the right to feel angry. You have the right to feel stressed. You have the right to feel sad. Why? Because it was something you were looking forward to. But know that that is not what you should keep lingering in your heart. For example, I was getting so caught up in doing a wedding, making sure it was beautiful and it was perfect, and I forgot that that's not what I was preparing for. I was preparing for a marriage. So Alan and I are Christian, and we had to go through our marriage counseling classes, which I highly recommend. Those of you do, it really makes you talk about certain things that you should know before marriage, like financial expectations, loving, unity, so many good things in those books, and I would highly recommend you guys do it. We finished all that, I believe, in February. So before we even canceled the wedding, we were done with our classes and we were able to just really know what God wanted from us in marriage as we were able to join in this new chapter together. Like I said, you should be able to talk to your partner about what you're feeling, and also maybe talk to your friends or maybe your mom or someone that you feel you trust, and let them know what you're feeling inside of your heart. I made the mistake of bottling up all these feelings and pretending it's okay and laughing it off with your friends and be like, well, the pandemic hit and I didn't get to have my wedding. But deep down, you know you're hurting, and you know that you feel this anger, you feel this stress and the sadness in your heart. Make sure it's someone who's gonna uplift you and not just mourn with you, because it's okay to feel those things, but it's not okay to stay in that mindset. You need to be positive and have joyfulness in your heart and keep going forward. Like I said, it can be very hard to have such a positive attitude when you're full of just discouragement all around and what the world is just doing and saying and constantly changing all the time with on these new rules and regulations and what is safe, what is not safe, you should wear a mask, if you shouldn't wear a mask, and everything that's happening in the world can just make it so much more draining. Things that I've been doing to kind of go through it emotionally, you can join one of those groups like on Facebook. I know Sadie Robinson, she's had like a big like devotional and like series strictly for brides that are living in 2020, and it's like a group where a lot of brides who have been going through this are now talking together and just sharing what they feel and what they are doing to cope with it, and tips for one another. And I've been on it and reading the devotionals, and I think it was such a good idea for her to do this and to share with other people, because I found it so helpful for myself to go through something like that. Very, very helpful. Or maybe you can even like share a comment with me here, and maybe we can talk about it and we can share tips with each other. Second advice I would give you is when picking a new date. When you pick a new date, make sure to not be so full of emotion or just stressed or just wanting to get it done, because I made that mistake and that's why I had to cancel my wedding twice. The second time was because I made an impulse decision to just have it on a certain day because I saw that everything was opening up, and I was like, I'm just gonna go for it. I'm just gonna do it because everything's opening up and I might as well just do it. But guess what? Ended up backfiring because they closed the border. They extended the border being closed another month, so we weren't sure if Alan's parents were gonna be able to make it. So it is not worth the trouble of replanning everything for maybe Alan's parents not to be here. That is not the point. We want his parents to be here. We want his parents to be able to see his son get married, because they weren't able to be here physically during the small ceremony. Don't make an impulse decision when picking a date. Make sure everything is safe, and also talk to your vendors, because maybe dates have changed, or also other people might have had that date already, and it might be kind of hard for you to get that date when someone else already has it. So be smart when you're picking a new date. Don't just rush into it. I want to now share with you like what we did and kind of like tips on how you can save money, because I know money is a big thing within weddings. I want to talk about is vendors and your deposits. So I know a lot of people spent money like deposits, because I know for me, I had to make a lot of deposits on certain things like music, cake, food, decorations, flowers, things like that, and they still all have my money. There are a lot of people who do not give you your money back. Even though we entered a pandemic, some people will not give you the money back, and some people have, but I feel like a majority of people were not receiving their money back. I know one thing you can do instead of canceling it and losing your deposit, if vendors are gracious enough to let you postpone for a further date, I would just go ahead and do that, and I would just postpone it for a later date, and you weren't gonna lose your money. I know one thing you could do is just, instead of like getting married, you can have like a 1-year anniversary, and you can invite everyone, and you can like redo vows. Another thing that we decided to do, well, like I said, we just put everything on pause so we can have a further date. So for us was to carry out and still get married. We decided to still have a wedding, and we got married on March 28th, the initial date. And the day was so beautiful, guys. It was just sunny and it was good weather. My family was there, and we were able to Zoom Alan's parents. I Zoomed all my bridesmaids, and it was such a nice time. I'm gonna insert pictures so you guys can kind of see like how it looked, and it was just so nice. It was so much more intimate, and it was just such a blessing to be able to have had a little ceremony like that had so much more thoughtful meaning to it, because even though in the midst of this pandemic, I was still able to marry the person I loved. Like God says, the marriage had unity and love for each other, and it wasn't the wedding that made the marriage. It was God who made this marriage, you know? And I'm excited to plan the next one, but I really wouldn't change it at all. I really loved how it was. So I was gonna have a lot of things by date on them, and I know some of you probably already had it. Go ahead and still use them, because at the end of the day, it'll be for like a funny little joke, because they know it was supposed to be on that date, but you have a different date now, and who cares? If it matches, no one's going to notice. With invitations, starting there, if you already sent your invitations out once, I'm not gonna resend invitations, just because I feel like it's very expensive to do so. I had the blessing of my friend Itzia made our invitations and gifted us our invitations, and I loved how they turned out. I'll insert a little picture so you can see how they look. They were so beautiful. I feel like they really captured me and Alan and our story and how we are, and it was pink. That's my favorite color, but it was so beautiful. I know a lot of people might want to resend invitations, but like I said, we're not going to, because it's just really pricey to do so. I know some people want to because of formality, so you can go ahead and send new invitations, but to save money, because I know a lot of people already spent so much money on invitations, you don't have to send them. So many people are going to be understanding, and they're going to know that you already spent a bit of a coin planning the wedding the first time. Those are little tips that I wanted to share with you girls and have encouragement towards you guys, and just share just positivity in a time where you can feel so negative and have so much going on. These are little tips and tricks that I've been using, and just ways that I've been encouraging myself and how others have been encouraging me. So I hope this video was helpful for so many of you, and I hope that you're able to relate to me. And if any of you are going through this or might have to postpone something, go ahead and talk about it in the comments down below, and maybe we can talk about it together and see tips that we can share with one another. Also leave tips for me on maybe ideas I didn't think of during my process of planning my wedding, postponing my wedding, and finding a new date. Things that maybe you have done or ways that you've saved money. And I hope I see you guys for my next video. Make sure to give this video a big thumbs up, subscribe to see more videos like this, and also leave a comment down below. I hope you guys have a beautiful day, and I hope you guys found this video useful, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.